Good day, everyone across North America. This is John Garmendi with Sony's Professional Solutions of America, welcoming you back to another in our series of Tech Tuesday webinars. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. For those of you who have been tuning into this series since early 2020, we'd like to welcome you back. We develop these webinars so that our customers, resellers, integrators, and consultants can stay informed and up to date on Sony's latest products and solutions, especially during this last year when many of us were not able to meet in person. In today's webinar, entitled Optimizing Your Remote Communications, we'll take a look at one of the most important elements of presentations and lectures, sound. We'll hear about some of the issues facing your customers and clients, and some unique viewpoints of students, instructors, and AV directors in relation to remote communications. Before we start, a few items of housekeeping. As in all of our webinars, there'll be an opportunity for Q&A, so please submit your questions via the in-event question panel. We'll post links to information referred to during the webinar in the chat panel, and also post a link to our YouTube playlist where you can view all of our archived Tech Tuesday webinars. Joining me today will be Kiana Pumpa, Senior Sales Engineer for the Western Zone here at Sony, and later on we'll be joined by Chris Swartz, Product Manager for our Crystal LED and beamforming microphone. I'll turn it over to Kiana now, and I'll join you all back here for Q&A afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So today we'll be going over our agenda. For the introduction to our beamforming microphone, our case study, our demonstration, and common troubleshooting steps, and then again, following up with a Q&A. So let's go ahead and start with sound. We've all had those moments where we're on mute or we get audio feedback. So let's take a look at some of the issues we're facing post-pandemic. So with an instructor, a lot of the times handheld mics are required. You plug in a lavalier, for example, and there's no batteries. Sometimes you can't get connected. There's other times where maybe you're using a gooseneck. Well, the gooseneck is limiting because now you can't walk around the room. And then as for students, a lot of the times when they are in hybrid environments or remotely, the microphone might have issues on the instructor side where they can't connect, or they're getting audio feedback, or they join in and they cause the feedback. And then of course, AV staff is always getting into challenges with making sure these microphones have batteries, making sure that they get sanitized, and management of all of these devices. So today I really want to reintroduce our beamforming microphone to all of you in a light introduction to the MASA 100. So our claim to fame with the beamforming microphone is that we have 8 directional microphone capsules and the signal processing that functions this. It enables audio capture features for speech reinforcement and lecture capture or video conferencing, the main output and the record output respectively. So the benefit here is that we're using a single cable for power control and audio transmission. It is Dante enabled, so it's super easy to use and install. So let's get a look at what each of these channels have to offer. With our main channel, we are looking at approximately 10-foot radius. This is again for speech reinforcement. So this channel is a little bit different. That includes a feedback reducer versus our record channel, which is a 23-foot radius, which is currently the audio that I'm using now, that captures the whole entire room, 23 feet. And of course, you can use multiple microphones in a space. So I'll show you our calculator for speech reinforcement or lecture capture. We'll send the link all over on the chat. So if you want to access this, we will give you access to this. So now that you know a little bit about our beamforming microphone, let's hop into a case study. So special thanks to Rudy and the entire ITS team in San Diego for really jumping into this. They were early adopters to our product, and it all started from a virtual demo in my home office. So they really saw the functionality and the ease of use, and basically the outcome is that now they're using the microphones in a lot of their lecture rooms where it's a hybrid environment. So you have some students joining in person, some people are still at home listening into the lecture, so they have that flexibility of hybrid spaces. And a lot of the times the teachers just love it because they walk in, the microphone just works. So with our beamforming microphone, it's really just install it and forget it. Since it's Dante enabled, it runs 24/7. PoE, again, you're not calling an electrician to install power, and basically ease of use. So solving a lot of the challenges that I mentioned before. So with that, we're going to move over to a demonstration of how to get started. So really quickly, switch over to that slide. So in the meeting room, this is our quick setup. So first and foremost, you're going to need a beamforming microphone, a switch with PoE, and then a category cable to plug into your PC if you're using an AVIO adapter. You also have the option to use a virtual sound card, and I really want to highlight the biggest difference here is that the adapter, you're thinking of something where you're taking RJ45 and Audinate sells a device that allows you to either use USB, USB-C, you can convert it to XLR if needed. So all of these converters can be bought and are purchased through Audinate, and they're Dante enabled, and that's how you get the audio into your PC. A lot of the times, this is a little bit more beneficial in education or corporate spaces where the presenter is going to bring their own device. So I always recommend that, but there's also a cost-effective option, which is our Dante Virtual Sound Card, which is completely software-based. So we all know we're struggling with inventory and getting product in your space and purchasing things. So this is a perfect option if you cannot wait to use this product. We do have inventory of the beamforming microphone that goes hand in hand with this virtual sound card. And it's just software you install on your PC, and it basically becomes a Dante audio receiver. So with this audio, you can connect it to any universal video conferencing platform. So today, during my demonstration, I will show you both methods on how to connect, whether you're using an adapter or you're using a virtual sound card. So without further ado, I'll take you over to the site links. And again, I'll provide all these links in the chat for all of you to try. We have a free microphone array system manager that basically, if you do have hundreds of units like San Diego State does, you can manage it all from one centralized location, again, completely free. And then the Dante controller, which is also a free product. And then last but not least, the Dante Virtual Sound Card, which is a paid feature. You do get a 14-day free trial if you want to test it out. And again, this is software-based. And then last but not least, the plethora of AVIO adapters. They have a ton of them on the website. They have all of the specifications you need there, including any latency that this AVIO adapter and virtual sound card include. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you the beamforming microphone and how to configure it now.
Okay, so we're back here in my home office with the beamforming microphone ready to go. We're going to set it up together so that you can follow along. For those of you that might have pulled demo equipment from our demo pool, if you flip it around to the back, what you could do is press on the reset button here. You're going to need a sharp object. The reset button is right around here. You're just going to press and hold it for around 5 seconds. And then once you're done, you release it and you'll verify in the back, just make sure that the red light is illuminated and flashing. And that is how we know we're off and ready to start the process. So with all of the links I gave you in the previous slide, what I'm going to do is start off with our beamforming mic manager. So let me just share my screen really quickly. And you can follow along by looking at my video camera to see when the red light actually turns green. So let's go ahead and open up the microphone array manager. Again, this is with the assumption you've already have it installed. So let's go ahead and get started. When you first log into the manager, the default password is admin_1234 with a capital A. You will have to create your own custom password before it lets you scan your network. If you have DHCP enabled on your network, it is relatively easy and the microphone will have the address assigned already. Otherwise, it's your opportunity to change if needed. You will notice that the status is displayed as uninitialized. Click on the gear icon to access the startup UI. If the page does not automatically open, you can access the device from a web browser by typing its IP address. Again, it will ask you for the default password, which is admin with a capital A_1234. Agree to the terms and conditions, set your language, and then reset that default admin password. After choosing a secure password of your choice, the web browser will ask you to re-enter with your new credentials.
This will lead you to the network options. Please feel free to edit as you see fit. I will leave mine as default. Lastly is the date and time setting. Once this is confirmed, the device is configured and you will see the indicator light on the device as green. I'll just walk you through the administration menu for additional options. If you click on the audio tab, you'll see that the microphone is already detecting the audio. You can make any micro adjustments that you see here on both the record channel and the main channel. The network tab allows you to make edits to your IP address. The security tab if you need to change your password or turn on SSL. External system for API control. System tab for information, maintenance for logs, or to update your firmware. So let's go ahead and close out of this and go back to the MASA manager, and you'll see that the status is set to OK. Now we're able to click on next so that we can add it to this manager, and basically what this does is it works as a dashboard. So if you have multiple microphones on your network, they're easily accessible from one area, and you can specify the name for differentiation. Once it's been added, again, you can make any adjustments directly from your dashboard as you see here, changing the capture range and the equalizer as well. The dashboard also has a calibration area if you're planning to use the channel for speech reinforcement. You can calibrate your audio here. Let's move on to setting up the Dante portion of this installation. I will set up the Dante controller and the Dante virtual sound card side by side so you can really notate the difference. Dante Virtual Sound Card is a software application that turns your PC or Mac into a Dante-enabled device, allowing Dante audio traffic to be transmitted and received using the standard Ethernet port. No additional hardware is required, and you can sign up for a free trial or purchase using the Audinate website. Once you click on Start, you will see your desktop automatically populate on the device list. All that is left is to route the audio. This is why you need the Dante controller software, which is again a free download on the Audinate website. It will establish connections to and from your Dante virtual sound card using the routing table. Expand the routing table using the plus icon. There are 16 channels that correlate to the options on the right from the virtual sound card. Since I am using this as a video conferencing microphone, I will be using the record channel. Just going to set up the channels for 1 and 2. The green check mark will appear, and now the device is configured. Once the connection and routes are initially set up, Dante controller application does not need to be left open. Yay, you're done, and it was super fast and easy to install. You will now be able to see the Dante channels in the drop-down microphone list of any universal video conferencing platform like Teams, Zoom, or WebEx. Let's go ahead and open up Teams really quickly so you can see what it looks like firsthand. Open the settings menu. Under devices, you will see all the Dante channels available on the drop-down list. If you recall, I set up channels 1 and 2, so I will select that as my audio option. You can always go back to the microphone settings if you want to fine-tune the audio, but other than that, this is a solution that is set it and forget it, completely touchless solution.
In addition, we can also connect the beamforming microphone to live streaming services like OBS Studio. OBS is a free and open source software for video recording and live streaming. So let's go ahead and open that. And I really just want to showcase how easy it is to attach the beamforming audio to any of your configurations. As you can see, you can add a multitude of video and audio sources on OBS directly. So what I'm going to do is connect the beamforming microphone. Under properties, you're going to select channels 1 and 2, which we previously set up. Click on OK, and now you'll see that this microphone audio is active. It is receiving audio, but it's currently on mute. What I'm going to do is mute my headset and then switch over to the beamforming microphone so that you can hear the audio firsthand.
Now this is the beamforming microphone audio. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully you found this tool helpful.
For the final part of this demo, I will discuss some common troubleshooting steps that I get the most calls on. The first being when a Dante device shows up red on the Dante controller device list. This happens when the IP address falls outside of the computer's subnet, making the device inaccessible. You will see this often when using a closed network or an unmanaged PoE switch that does not have DHC capability. It is actually a very easy fix. Double-click on the device and it will tell you its current network configuration. We just need to change our PC's address to match the subnet in order to make the device accessible. Let's go ahead and open up the Network and Sharing Center. Go ahead and click on Ethernet, then click on Properties. Find Internet Protocol version 4 and double click. In this menu, it allows you to assign a static IP address. I'm going to go back to my Dante controller because I don't remember the IP address, just kind of confirm here. It is a 169 address. I'm basically going to copy it over onto my current settings. Of course, not using the same exact IP address, just something similar on that same subnet to avoid any IP conflict. Once the change is implemented, you'll see on the left-hand side, the Dante controller can easily recognize the change and now the device is accessible. The key concept here is that now that the device is accessible, we can go into the network configuration and make the adjustments to change the IP address to ensure that all of the devices can communicate with each other on the same subnet. I'm going to change my address to a 192 address. Of course, you trying this at home or in an office will have a different IP address than me. And you'll notice that I will also leave the default gateway and the DNS blank. Of course, in common practice, you would need this to access the internet. But because I am using this on a closed network, it really doesn't matter if I leave it blank. Once we apply the changes, the AVIO adapter does need a couple seconds to reboot, so I'll just quickly refresh my screen. And you'll see that the AVIO adapter will change its IP address, and it'll also go into red, so it's no longer accessible. Now we'll go back into our IP settings of the PC and convert it back to that /24 subnet to ensure all of the devices on the network can now communicate with each other. Once we apply the correct IP address and subnet, you can see that the change is pretty instantaneous. Both of the devices are now accessible, which allows us to route the audio to the correct AVIO adapter. From the routing table, you'll notice a big difference with the channels of audio. The AVIO adapter only has 2, in comparison to our Dante virtual sound card, which had 16 channels. Concept is still exactly the same. You use the little green check marks to route the audio to the AVIO adapter from the beamforming microphone. Now that you've learned how to configure the Dante AVIO adapter and the virtual sound card, let's go ahead and talk about the last common troubleshooting issue, which is IP conflicts. One of the key differences with this beamforming microphone is that we have a dedicated IP address for Dante control and a separate IP address dedicated for Sony configuration of the beamforming microphone on the audio side. Let me just place them side by side so that you can notate the difference. The most common issue that arises is setting up the static IP address that matches both on the microphone and the Dante controller. But when this happens, the system will not work and you will not be able to access the settings. So don't waste hours of troubleshooting. Just press the reset button on the back of the microphone and ensure when configuring, there are in fact 2 unique IP addresses in the same subnet. This is a quick setup guide on how to get started using Dante Virtual Sound Card and AVIO adapters. We'll now head over to the Q&A session. Awesome, welcome back. So at this point of the presentation, we'll head over to Q&A and I'll send it back to John.
Thanks, Kiana. That was great. Jam-packed with information as always. And joining us is Chris Swartz, who is the product manager for our beamforming microphone, as well as our crystal LED direct view wall. Welcome in, Chris. We've got a couple of questions here in the chat. The first one's from Dayton. Dayton asks, for the AVIO adapters, is there a package price to buy all of them for testing purposes? I need to design a massive network with immersive audio capabilities. Chris, do you want to handle that one?
Sure, John. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay, good. Dayton, yeah. So unfortunately, we don't have a bundle of AVIO adapters. Those are Audinate products that we use in concert with the beamforming mic to convert Dante audio signal to either analog or USB or XLR. So you would have to get in touch with Audinate about any kind of bundles that they might sell for that. Sorry. Thanks for the question, though.
Thanks, Chris. We've got a question from Lori. Lori asks, Does Sony have a demo program for this beamforming microphone?
Yes, I'll take that question, John. So we do have an amazing demo program where we include the beamforming microphone, an AVIO converter to XLR, and a PoE switch all in one kit. So we can send it over to you. You can request it from us. We usually typically loan out the product for 2 weeks maximum. You can even schedule some time with me where we can configure it together. Or now you can use this video that we just saw to configure it yourself from your convenient location.
Great. Another question from Angelo. He asks, what are the capture distances for the individual mic functions of lecture capture and sound reinforcement?
Okay, so with speech reinforcement, it's around 10 feet radius versus the whole room for lecture capture or video conferencing. That's a 23-foot capture radius.
Fantastic. And a related question, how many microphones can be remotely controlled on a network?
I'll take that one, John. In all honesty, there's a lot of things that go into this to answer this question, but I mean, bandwidth on your network is one of those questions. Depends on how many you want, and it also depends on how you subnet your network. But I'll just answer it this way: there generally is no limit, depending on how large and how robust your network is. But our software, if you want to manage those microphones from one pane of glass, has a hard limit at around 250 microphones. So you could have one subnet full of 250 microphones, and then have a computer. Actually, I think a computer with this software on it that manages those 250, and then you could have another computer that would manage the next 250. So that would be kind of the limitation. There's a limitation in the software of how many you can put on there, and also, there's the practical limitation of how many IP addresses that you have available in your network as well. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Chris. And yeah, I guess it's a similar question from Lars, but maybe with respect to can you use more than one microphone in the same space? Kiana?
Yes, you definitely can. You can use multiple microphones. The audio channels are also simultaneous, so you can use both feeds at the same time. At that point, if you're using more than one, you will need a mixer or a DSP to blend those audio channels together.
Fantastic. Okay, great. Just checking the question panel here for any last minute questions. I don't see any, so maybe we'll move on and remind everyone about our next Tech Tuesday, which will actually be a special Tech Tuesday, since most of us will be at NAB. We're going to have a rerun of one of our most popular panels that we did actually just as recently as last month. It wasn't a Tech Tuesday. It was a panel that we did in conjunction with Rave, and it was the trends in large screen LED and direct view LED. And it's a panel that provides interesting viewpoints from both manufacturers, consultants, as well as systems integrators. So we're joined by Nick Mitchell of Diversified, Rob Badenoch of TAD, and one of our partners from Peerless as well, Jeff Blankensop. So please mark your calendars, join us on April 26th, and learn about the trends in direct view LED. And with that, I will wish everyone a profitable day. Hopefully this information was useful. If you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to any of your local Sony sales support engineers or your regional account managers. And I wish everyone that you stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.